"Black boy, I know how to make you walk again." The old millionaire laughed, until the miracle happened. The wheels of Margaret Langston's maroon wheelchair squeaked gently as it rolled across the gravel path of White Park. The trees rustled, in the wind like they were whispering secrets she no longer cared to hear. She had once been a woman of power, co-founder of a billion-dollar tech empire, friend to senators, enemy to rivals. But now, at 84, all she had left was silence, and legs that hadn't worked in over 2 years. 10,000 doctors and no results, she muttered under her breath. What's left? Her caregiver had gone to fetch tea. Margaret sat alone by the fountain, where golden sunlight broke through the leaves. Then came the sound. Soft, small footsteps. She turned. Her head, a little black boy, no more than 7 or 8, approached slowly from the far end of the path. Dusty brown pants, a patched gray jacket, torn sandals, clothes stained, hair uncombed. But his face, it glowed with something Margaret hadn't seen in years, peace. He stopped in front of her, eyes locking on hers, not with fear or pity, but gentleness. "May I hold your hand, ma'am?" Startled, Margaret looked around. Was this a trick? A poor child begging? But something in her gut said no harm would come. Hesitantly, she extended her hand. The boy gripped it firmly, warm, steady. "I'm Jeremiah," he said, "and I know you can walk again." Margaret blinked, then snorted. "Oh, is that so? You a surgeon in disguise? Or just another little preacher boy?" "I ain't no doctor, and I ain't trying to preach," he said quietly. "But I believe in the Lord, and I know what he can do. I believed in the Lord too," she said bitterly, "until he let my husband die from cancer and took my son in a crash." Her voice cracked. She hadn't meant to say that, not out loud. Jeremiah didn't respond right away. He let silence sit between them like an old friend. Then he spoke. "The Lord doesn't promise no one an easy walk, but he did promise he'd walk beside you." Margaret's lips quivered. "Child, what do you know about loss?" He let go of her hand and sat beside her on the bench. "My mama died last year. I was there, held her hand till it got cold. I asked God why he took her, but then I realized he didn't take her. He called her." She stared. "Called her to rest," Jeremiah said, smiling faintly. "And he let me stay, to do something for someone else, someone whose heart is heavier than their legs." Margaret tried to laugh again, but this time nothing came out, only breath and a tear. She wiped it fast. "I've spent millions on surgeries, therapy, robotics. You think your God can fix what science couldn't?" "No, ma'am, I don't think he can," Jeremiah said. He paused, then added softly, "I know he will." She stared at him. His confidence wasn't arrogant, it was rooted, like a tree that had stood through storms. "Well, go on then," she muttered, bitter. "Pray your miracle prayer." Jeremiah didn't move. "No," he said gently. "Not now." "Why not?" "Because miracles don't come when we ask. They come when the heart is ready." Just then, her caregiver returned. Margaret tried to act like nothing had happened, but her eyes kept drifting back to the boy, still standing there in his dirt-stained clothes, his gaze unwavering. "Tomorrow," he said, backing away slowly. "Same time." Margaret scoffed. "Why would I come back?" "Because you already want to." He smiled. And just like that, he turned and walked down the winding trail, sunlight catching his back like a halo. That night Margaret couldn't sleep. The news was too noisy. Reading felt dry. All she could see was that boy, that strange, calm boy who looked at her like she wasn't broken. For the first time in years, she whispered a prayer she didn't even believe in anymore. "Lord, if you're real, if you're not done with me." She didn't finish it. Couldn't. but her hands were still warm, like the boy had never let go. Same time, same spot, same silence. Only this time her hands weren't clenched. Her eyes weren't glazed. Something inside her had stirred. Uncomfortably, yes, but stirred. She kept looking around. No sign of him. She told herself she didn't care, that she'd only come for fresh air, that she wasn't wasting time on dusty little prophets and patched-up jackets. But her heart knew better. At exactly 4:06 p.m., she heard it again. Soft footsteps, familiar sandals. She turned. There he was, Jeremiah. Same jacket, same peaceful eyes. "Didn't think you'd come," he said playfully. "I didn't either," she replied. They sat in silence. This time he didn't reach for her hand. Instead, he stared at the pond as birds dipped across the water. "You said yesterday." "Miracles come when the heart is ready," she said. "What if mine isn't?" He smiled. "That's the funny thing about the Lord. He don't wait on perfection. Just honesty." She looked down. "What if I'm angry at him?" "You can be." "What if I've blamed him?" "You think he didn't already know?" Tears welled up in her eyes, unwelcome, unexpected. "He took my boy, Jeremiah, my only child. He was 17, bright, kind, better than I ever was. A truck hit him, gone in seconds." Her voice cracked. "I haven't walked since. Not just my legs, me. I've been dead a long time." Jeremiah didn't say anything. He stood, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a folded paper, worn and creased. "I want you to read this," he said. She opened it slowly. Faded ink, shaky, cursive. The paper smelled like dust and time. "To whoever finds this, I don't know who you are, but I pray you're someone who's still fighting. Don't let sorrow trap your soul. God may allow us to break, but only so he can hold us when we can't hold ourselves. My name was James Langston. If you're reading this, tell my mom I'm okay." Margaret's chest caved. Her fingers trembled. "Where did you get this?" she whispered, voice raw. Jeremiah looked up at the sun filtering through the trees. "I found it near an old bus stop by Highway 9, tucked inside a Bible under the bench. No name, no number. But when I opened it, I knew." Margaret pressed the paper to her chest. Her whole body shook. "You said—" "Your name is Jeremiah?" she asked. He nodded. "My son's Bible," he carried one, said the name Jeremiah meant, "God will uplift." Her tears spilled freely. For the first time in years, she let herself feel everything. The loss, the anger, the loneliness, and something else. Peace. She didn't notice her hand move. Then her foot. Then her thigh muscles twitched, something that hadn't happened since the accident. She gasped, gripping the wheelchair's handles. I felt that." Jeremiah knelt beside her. "Can I pray with you now?" She nodded. They bowed their heads, his hand on hers, her hand clutching the note. The prayer was simple. Just words. Words of surrender, healing, hope. When she opened her eyes, the air had changed. It was warmer, brighter, and Margaret Langston, once confined by rage, grief, and paralysis, placed her hand on the arm of the wheelchair and pushed herself up. It was shaky, wobbly, but she stood. She stood. Birds flew from the trees like the heavens were applauding. Margaret sobbed, tears soaking her blouse, her arms outstretched like a woman reborn. When she turned to thank Jeremiah, he was gone. No goodbye, no name, just a paper in her hand, and a whisper in her soul. He doesn't wait on perfection, just honesty. 3 months later, newspapers told of a miracle. Billionaire widow walks again after mysterious encounter with child. No one ever found the boy. No cameras caught his face. But Margaret walks through that park every day now, without wheels, without bitterness, without fear. And sometimes, she leaves an extra sandwich on the bench, just in case he ever comes back.